Hey everybody, this is Dharma. I hope everyone is doing well. So I was trying to wait until I could get my keyboard remedy, but that hasn't happened yet. Mainly because until I have a backup keyboard, I'm kind of scared to mess with it. I haven't done anything technical in a really long time, but I'm getting my confidence back. So as you know, certain political entities have said, well, you may not know, but certain political entities have said to flood the zone. And I think that's what our president probably meant when he made his shock and awe comment. But, I mean, here's the thing. Energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. So there's nothing wrong with observing something, but if it makes you angry or fearful, that's a lower vibrational thing, and that's when we start getting reactive and we start sending negative energy back to people who have very low vibrational, hateful, angry energy. So, yeah, they might affect things for a shorter term when they do this, but the real change, a lie travels quickly, like another reader says, a lie travels quickly, but the truth endures. So, kind of like, well, in the tradition that I was raised, which is Christianity, Jesus said building a house on shifting sands or building it on a solid foundation. So it might take longer to build that house on a solid foundation. He said rock, so you would have to drill down into the rock and put your rebar anchors or whatever. And back in biblical times when we didn't have power and hydraulic machinery, imagine how much longer it would have taken. So it takes longer and it costs more to build a house on a solid foundation, and instead of using press board or particle board for flooring, you use plywood instead of pouring a concrete slab and having a foundation where you can go under it, give a little sway, or to save your back or whatever, save the environment. It takes longer and the maintenance might be a little more pain in the neck, but they all have their virtues. And if you just want something cheap, you're a home builder and you're only in it for the money rather than quality, then, or it's all you can afford at the time, and you might throw a little camper or a trailer or a little, cheaply built McMansion up so it looks good on the outside, but then you can have problems later. So it's the same way with building our lives. So when we're reactive and we send back, oh my God, that's such and such, blah, 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 with a bunch of curse words, and we're sending back a bunch of hate, it may or not work in the short run. And if it does, then the blowback's going to be something fierce. But if we look at ourselves, because if we didn't have it in us, we wouldn't be able to send it out, right? So if we look at ourselves and where that's coming from, recognize it and deal with it, then we can send back peace, love, and light. Because if I strike you, my fist is going to hurt. But if I send you love, even if you strike me, well, then I know I've done the right thing. So rather than doing zodiac signs until I get the keyboard situation sorted, I thought that I would do a little collective read and see what kind of shadow work we might focus on, whether it's in our personal lives or what's going on with politics or whatever. But anyway, since the last time I've done a reading, I've taken some time to go within, and yeah, I've got things going on with family members or ex-family members or whatever that can be painful and or annoying to deal with, but at the same time, I have to realize that the reason they're doing this is because it's so painful to focus on themselves. They'd rather focus outward. And when we keep digging up bodies that one person's already resolved, but we haven't, then, the other person might smell some stench, but they're not going to be affected by it because they're going to move on and do what they got to do to deal with themselves and leave us to deal with ourselves. So let's see what shadows collective can work with at this time, whether public, personal, professional, political, whatever. But I would just say if the news is triggering, turn it off for right now. I mean, you don't even have to turn it off. Just don't always react. Just sit back and catch yourself before what you say, like, oh, that's going to be terrible for me. That's terrible for the country. That's terrible for my child. Just turn it, take a step back and remind yourself that God or your higher self or Allah or, whatever divine is in your life, they got you. And as long as you've got your heart and your mind in the right place and you're doing the work, inner and outer, if you're doing the work, they got you. Sometimes you might have to focus on that inner work before you can do the outer work, and sometimes if you're trying to put food on the table, vice versa. So, adventure in the shadows, resorting to violence in the name of a cause. Well, there'll be people who do that. And you may be one too. I was listening to the first couple of chapters of the Bhagavad Gita the last few days. So yeah, you may be one. But if you're doing it strictly out of a reactive, angry, hateful, or fearful nature, or some combination, it might not be a good reason to act. We might need to take a step back from that. Guys, ancestors, Holy Spirit, thank you so much for the messages before I even ask. I ask you for messages only for the higher and greatest good for my collective. Please and thank you. We thank you for the many blessings we have in our lives. We send peace, love, and light to our leaders in Washington. Prostitute in the light accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating. Without negotiating the power of your spirit. We ask that you help everyone. We ask that you bless our president with clarity and divine timing and just help everyone else with clarity and divine timing. Messages, please and thank you. Only for the higher and greatest good. That's too many. I'll take these two, please and thank you. Seeker in the light, a thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. Collective, you're doing great. I'm so proud of you. Child divine in the shadow, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. Well, we're not completely powerless, but we have to start with ourselves and make sure our hearts are in the right place, our mind is in the right place. We got to get those lined up, and then we can address external situations, because otherwise we're like trying to put out a towering inferno with a medicine dropper, right? Anything else, please and thank you before I go to tarot. But we've got some light to work with, and we've got some dark to work through, and we can do that. Anything else, please and thank you before I switch to tarot. Thank you so much. Child, nature in the light. Friendship with animals communicates with nature spirits. All right, Sally, you know what that's saying. Take time outside, go touch some grass, take a walk, play with your pup, play with your cat. And Liberator in the reverse, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Y'all, before an action can be successful, it has to be properly planned with other like minds. We have to make sure that we're not just being too reactive. That everyone, because if you're too reactive, you're gonna mess up. So we'll read from the book for these, and then I'll go into the tarot. So we have Avenger in the shadow. Manifest as resorting to violence from acts of esotericism to bombing abortion clinics. Okay. Look for a lifelong pattern of defending or representing causes on behalf of others. Then we have prostitute in the light. Engages lessons in the skill or negotiation of your integrity or spirit based on fears of physical and material survival for financial gain. Activates aspects of the unconscious related to seduction and control. Could also be understood as the selling or selling out of talents, ideas, and any other expression of the self. For learning relates to the need to birth and refine self-esteem and self-respect. In other words, don't rationalize what doesn't feel right to make money. You might have to have it, and there might be a time for that later, but right now isn't it? So, Seeker in the upright. Now we don't discourage or disparage our friends who are in that industry, for whatever reason, whether that's the only way they can survive. Why would we be upset with them? But if they're taking it to a whole different level, and I'm not going to get into details, y'all can fill in the blanks, but if they're taking it to a whole different level, then that's a different story. But we're not in control of them, we're in control of us. So Seeker in the upright, wanderer, vagabond, nomad, may begin search with earthly curiosity, but has at its core the pursuit of wisdom and truth wherever they're found. Look for a lifetime pattern of constantly moving from one potential source of wisdom or truth to another. Child divine in the shadow. Manifests as an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. Ask whether you are seeing life through the eyes of a benevolent, trusting God or goddess, or tend to respond to others with fear of being hurt or with a desire to hurt others first. That's that doing to others before they do unto you. That's not a good thing. So, child nature in the upright inspires intimate bonding with natural forces, shows affinity for friendship with animals, has inner toughness and ability to survive. Look for a lifelong pattern of relating to animals such that your psyche and spirit need those bonds for your own well-being. And finally, Liberator in the shadow. Manifesting corporate, political, religious, and spiritual leaders who impose their own tyranny over others. Ask whether you have a lifelong pattern of helping to free others from injustices, adverse economic or social conditions, or simply from their misconceptions. So that's not bad. But the shadow attribute is because that means we're imposing what we think is best for everyone. And sometimes we have to compromise and sit down and talk or work it out through the courts or, yeah, I know, don't say anything. I already know. Or through the political process or diplomatic process. That can take time and we might not get everything we want, but it's not a zero-sum game. Everyone has to be, or no one wins, even though it seems like, oh, we won it all at that time. So let's get into the tarot. By the way, I hope y'all are doing well. Thanks so much for joining me. But I've had a little work to do on myself too, and I've had some other things to do too. So let's see what goes on. I mean, no matter what happens, we can still draw a deep breath today, hopefully. I hope everyone's doing well and can draw a deep breath. We can find something to really, truly sit back and enjoy and be grateful for today. Me, I'm kind of grateful that I know people still have snow, but I'm grateful my snow's gone. And I've been walking, plan on riding the bike soon. Get back in shape because, you know, I neglect myself in the wintertime and I'm going to have to work on that. But at the same time, I don't have proper rain gear, so there's also that. And my fur babies enjoyed walking with me. Yeah, I had the funniest cat one time. I used to go out for a walk or walk the dog. And I looked behind and there's my cat at heel. And he was so awesome. I'm sure other people have experienced that, but that for me, and this was God over a decade ago, but I enjoyed that. I thought I really got a kick out of it. Please and thank you. Can I get a card for the collective, for the present, or the self? Current situation or the self, please and thank you, guides, ancestors, police, guardian angels, most high God. If y'all haven't checked out Mars King and you want to know what demons you can work with, take that as it resonates. But, you know, if we're not working with our demons, trust and believe they're working with us. So it's better to work with them and get them behind us, right? But the Mars King is the name of her channel. And you'll have to go more into the Lesser Key of Solomon or the Goetia Testament of Solomon. Understand more about how to do that. People think it's just like, oh, in the name of Jesus, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how it works. You have to do the work. Remember, the scriptures, even if they're philosophical in nature rather than religious, all around the world, oftentimes use parable. So the current situation or the self is the Knight of Pentacles, something coming in slow, slowest knight in the deck, but he thought something of value. I like to say a cornerstone. He's aiming to build something, but it's going to have a firm foundation. He's going to do it right. By the way, we welcome everyone. Energies are just energies. Time and energy are fluid. It depends on where we are, how much work we've been doing, how well we've been doing it, how much attention we've been giving it, like this fella here. So that makes a difference on our timeline. So even though the intentions are set for past, present, near future, recent past, we could have a mishmash of all three. And energy is fluid. We all hold masculine and feminine energies within us. We do not other. Everyone is welcome here. Everyone is welcome here, regardless of race, gender, color, creed, identity, or lack thereof. So when I say masculine energies, those are the active energies. When I call a masculine, it's what's on the card. I call a feminine, it's what's on the card. Feminine is more passive and receptive. Masculine is more direct and active. Crossing, please and thank you. Crossing, please and thank you. Crossing for the collective, please and thank you. If you have a problem with someone's identity, then you need to go do some shadow work. That's on you, not them. Hermits. We're being asked to go within and take a good look at ourselves, a long, hard look at ourselves. We're upset, we're scared, we're angry. We need to go within to find those answers. Remember, in my particular tradition, the kingdom of heaven is within you. I'm sure there's some variation thereof. That's why we meditate. That's why we pray. Excuse me. Meatball sandwich. In the subconscious. In the subconscious, please and thank you. Thank you so much. Some of us are in mental prison. And some of us want to make a romantic offer or a sweet offer, but it's not exactly entirely honest. That means if we feel like we should be offering something sweet or a cup of love, but we're not right within ourselves, or it's a dirty offer, and we know it, we need to go within ourselves before we do that. In the consciousness, please and thank you so much. Swords reversed. Well, I don't know whether to read that as someone coming out of a dark night of the soul, a never-ending nightmare, or somebody really entrenched in it, but we'll see what the surrounding cards are. Thank you so much. Recent past. Recent past, please and thank you. Recent past for the collective, please and thank you. Recent past for the collective, please and thank you. Recent past for the collective, please and thank you. King of Cups in the upright, and the Emperor in the upright. Now somebody in the past, some of us in the past, some of us, someone around us, have been in the upright, the my way or the highway guy, but the heart was in the right place. So this doesn't look like imposing your will. It looks like if you can't get with my program, then I need to have my program. You need to have yours. Hey. So it looks like somebody might not be in that nightmare. But in the unconscious, we might have some trouble brewing. Or we might have been trying to work through that and we haven't completely worked through it yet. Near future, please and thank you. Near future, please and thank you. Thank you so much. Illusions, choices, a lot of emotions, a lot of emotional energy that needs to be worked through. In the environment, please and thank you. In the environment, please and thank you so much. Lying, cheating, stealing, coming out of that, or not having a strategy, and new passionate new beginning. Hopes and fears. Oh well, in the environment. Let's get our personal influence first. What influence do we have on the situation, please and thank you? I normally go with hopes and fears first, but I don't know. I just felt like I should get with what we can personally influence. That's a lot, Spirit. I'm not going to take them all. I'll take that one. Do the work. Go within. Do the work on yourself before you try to do anything outside. Hopes and fears, please and thank you. Hopes and fears, please and thank you. I think external influences would like us to be in that line, cheating, stealing, no passion, no new passionate beginning, being stuck, being afraid, but we're not going to do that because we're going to go within and do the work and know that, hey, God got me. Hopes and fears, please and thank you. Before we try to go figure out a strategy, we're going to go within and work on ourselves. We want to make sure our heart and our head are in the right place. As above, so below, as within, so without, right? Hopes and fears, thank you so much. Wheel of Fortune in the upright. Not having to defend our position. Or knowing we're going to have to really defend our position. You know, imagine it's different for each of us depending where we are on our timeline. Potential outcomes, please and thank you. I say potential because everyone has free will and everyone's on their own path. Everyone's on their own timeline. Some have a little more inner work to do and some are ready to work in the external, work in the 3D. Potential outcomes, please and thank you. I don't feel like I really need to clarify anything either. I think they've been very clear and concise. Thank you so much, guides, my ancestors, holy guardian angels. I appreciate you, Most High God. Potential outcome, please and thank you. 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 Y'all, before we can read the cards of external events, we need to learn to look at them as internal aspects of ourselves. So if y'all go on Kippie's Quest, spelled with K, both words, KIPPIE_S, they will show you how to use the cards to get an understanding of yourself. And I always recommend if you've got, you got a few extra bucks, get a deck, learn to read, study the Hermetic Kabbalah, or at least the Tree of Life. We've got some Lon Milo discuss videos. And look at these cards, shows where you are on your journey. But, it works with YouTube readings too. It just takes a little longer to catch on sometimes. But Tippy's Quest will help you catch on a little faster. But when you really start catching on is when you start working with the cards. Thank you so much. Potential outcome, King of Wands in reverse. So somebody with a lot of passion, got a vision, they've got a goal, they might be brought to a stop. Or someone has their own vision and goal, and they might need to stop. Again, depending on your timeline. I would imagine some of us want to work for better things for everyone, so that's the first reading. King of Wands will be brought to a stop, at least temporarily. But if this is stuff that you need to work on before you go off past top, it's going to be brought to a stop, whether it's by internal or external forces, and even external forces are things that we have set in motion for ourselves. The bottom of the deck, I can't make it up, the devil. But those chains on Adam and Eve there, they are very loosely bound. And remember that Adama, the first race, the first chosen race, but we're all chosen, so, but ancient Sumerian mythology, right? But, the first race, the first couple, remember that the Adam was androgynous, or, intersex, perhaps, but the consensus seems to be androgynous. Still on that. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope everyone has a great week. We'll see when that other keyboard comes through, the backup keyboard comes through before I delete and reinstall this one. And light, love, prosperity, peace, I send it all to you. And please send these things to our politicians, and that includes the ones we don't like too. Okay, right? Thanks so much. Have a blessed week.